go over those pentatonic scales. So, every scale shape basically has a build of two different patterns, where you have the large gap versus the small gap. So when you have the large gap, you're going to use your first and fourth finger. The small gap, use your first and third. Just do that every single time. This will help train your hand to get used to falling into that pattern easier. The only exception is in shape number 4, when you're playing off the open strings. That one, you will just line up your finger with the fret numbers. So third finger, third fret, second finger, second fret, first finger, first fret. So let's go over each shape. So the A minor pentatonic, shape number 1, we got, I'm going to say the fret numbers as I go up and down. So we got 5, 8, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 8, 5, 8, back down. 8, 5, 8, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 8, 5. Shape number 2, also known as the C major pentatonic. We have 8, 10, 7, 10, 7, 10, 7, 9, 8, 10, 8, 10. Back down. 10, 8, 10, 8, 9, 7, 10, 7, 10, 7, 10, 8. And it will be helpful when you're working the scales up and down if you say the fret number out loud like that. Saying stuff out loud as you're going, and we'll be doing this a lot when we get to rhythm work. Saying it out loud is something about just hearing yourself say it really reinforces what it is that's happening. So give that a try, and it could very well help you learn these shapes faster. Alright, shape number 3, we have 10, 12, 10, 12, 10, 12, 9, 12, 10, 13, 10, 12, back down, 12, 10, 13, 10, 12, 9, 12, 10, 12, 10, 12, 10. That shape trips people up a bit because of the shifting of the hand that has to occur. Even if you didn't stick with the first and fourth rule there with your fingers, you got to shift the hand a bit. So that's the big thing to remember here. Basically, another way to look at it is every string you go to when you're climbing up that scale, your index finger is always going to start. Always going to start. So index finger starts every single string. When you're coming down, index finger will end on every single string. So now on to shape number 4, the higher octave. And the octave, remember, is just the same note ringing at a higher pitch. I think the scientific term for the whole thing is, or the scientific explanation is, you know, the sound wave is literally a wave. You know, so you're hearing the sound make its pattern and whatnot. So I think the octave higher, it's just going twice as fast. If it's an octave lower, the wave is going twice as half the speed. So I think that's how that works. So you got your open E, and then the 12th fret on the E string is the same note. It's just an octave higher. So anyway, shape number 4. We got 12, 15, 12, 15, 12, 14, 12, 14, 13, 15, 12, 15, back down, 15, 12, 15, 13, 14, 12, 14, 12, 15, 12, 15, 12. And now the same shape, an octave lower. This is where we got the open string involved. Alright, we got 0, 3, 0, 3, 0, 2, 0, 2, 1, 3, 0, 3. And back down, 3, 0, 3, 1, 2, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 3, 0. And the last shape, shape number 5, 3, 5, 3, 5, 2, 5, 2, 5, 3, 5, 3, 5. And back down, 5, 3, 5, 3, 5, 2, 5, 2, 5, 3, 5, 3. Now when you you go about memorizing these, remember it's important to just do one at a time. So make sure you get shape number 1 down so you don't have to look at the paper before you move on to shape number 2. So if you get them all memorized before the next class, awesome. If you don't, that's fine. It's important that you just move at your own pace and try not to get overwhelmed with things. So we got lots of time. There's a lot of material to cover, so definitely important to take your time with these things. So we'll get everything down. Definitely will. Now the tab stuff, working on alternate picking. So everything, we're just going to focus on going up that first scale pattern to begin with. So everything is down, up, down, up, down, up the whole time. So down, up, 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 down, up. It's very important that you, once you have that scale memorized, watch that right hand like a hawk. Watch it real close. So anytime you do like 2 downstrokes in a row or 2 upstrokes in a row, start over. So anytime a mistake is made, just start over, so this way it reinforces the good habits. And the next thing tabbed out, we're just running down the scale. We're going descending and alternate picking that. So we go down, up, 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 down, up. Now, the next thing was just a riff. Kind of a common thing used with pentatonic soloing to kind of test the waters and see where you're at there. So this is what it sounds like. A little bit faster. So what you're doing, looking at the tab, if we need to, we'll definitely go over this in more detail and do more examples. But that curved line is called a slur mark. So it can either represent hammer-ons, pull-offs, sometimes slides. Basically, wherever the slur mark begins, that's the note you're going to pick. And then it doesn't matter how many notes it goes over after that. You just don't pick any of the other notes that go underneath that slur mark. So what you have, starting on that B string, you're going to pick the E notes, and you hammer onto the G, the 8th fret, and then you go up to the E string, you're picking the A notes, hammering on to the C, and then pulling back off to the A. Do not let that index finger come off once you get onto the E string, so this way you're doing a proper pull-off. Because you don't want to do that. Those aren't pull-offs. Those are just like, that's a hammer-on, that's like a hammer-on from nothing when you do it like that. So that's something we may need to focus on. And that's not a bad thing. That just means, I mean, it's very common when people are self-taught. What happens with pull-offs is that's a big thing. The fingers like to kind of plant themselves, like doing hammer-ons from nothing, like playing a piano. It's kind of how it goes. When you got distortion on, you can get away with that a lot, but it does slow you down a bit if you don't have your fingers down in advance for a pull-off. And it also can make the notes sound weaker, especially on a clean channel or on an acoustic. So anyway, let's run through the riff some more. So we got start on the B string, you got pick the 5, hammer to 8, up to the E string, pick 5, hammer 8, pull off 5, and then hits the 8th fret on the B string again. Basically do that 3 times. And then end on this A note here. So the goal with that right now is just get it as smooth as possible, make all the notes ring out nice and clear. Yeah, but that's just the start. We haven't even scratched the surface. So have a good holiday. I got you in. Just double check. I think it was January 8th. You were back. Yep, January 8th. And we shall continue on. Alright, well, let me know if you have any questions in the meantime, but I will see you in a few weeks.